and it's all going to be okay. So when you do mess up, whether it's with a one-on-one client or a bigger sphere, own it, be real about it, and move on from it, but don't ignore it. Okay? So that's the message about how to communicate really badly and then try to fix it. Speaking of communication, Ned Burns, who's joined our office just a month ago, has a really fun story that I think feels like a fan club story about some interaction he had this morning. So he's going to regale us with that for a moment, and then we're going to move into the scripts and role playing that you all have signed on to hear about. Ned.
Kathy asked me earlier in the week to try and point of emphasis to just talk to one person a day, let them know, I've made the shift, because I kind of struggle with like that. I don't have a problem telling people I'm in real estate, but then sort of that transition to like, by the way, do you have any needs? Like I can do it, in pretend very easily. It's like not uncomfortable, but in real life, I kind of like feel awkward. So I was leaving the post office, ran into a guy I used to see pretty regularly. He asked me if what I was doing. I was like, oh, just coming out of the post office, blah, blah, blah. He said, well, what's going on? I'm like, well, I switched offices. I'm over at Coldwell Banker Distinctive Properties. Things are going great. I really, really love it. And he's like, oh, that's amazing. He's like, he's a local real estate developer. And you have your card on you because I'm going to be needing a real estate agent in the future. I was like, well, yes, of course I have my business card. Handed him a card. Was very pleased. We chatted for a couple more minutes, came back, and almost made Kathy cry. She was so proud of me.
Well, and if I can just reiterate why, the whole thing is being prepared. What role playing is going to do for all of us is, sorry, Derek, didn't mean to steal your thunder, is being prepared. And it was perfect timing for Ned because we actually had that conversation early in the week. We planted the seeds of being prepared, and that is exactly what role playing is going to do for everybody.
And so the only hiccup here was that the card he had on him was from his prior office.
That's untrue.
Sotheby's. So but whatever, he just scratched it out. No, he had his Coldwell Banker card on him, and so it's all good stuff. Mark Wingirter, I don't know if you're on the call, but he had his first CBDP sale earlier this week. He's had other sales, but as a CBDP person, he had his first sale. So congratulations, Mark. If any of you, I try to pay attention to the closings. If any of you have your first sale with the company, please let me know so that I can give you a shout out, because it's awesome to have you join our company and then start producing. Just feel great about that. So Josh, I don't know what you're playing at, but that's good. Okay, so here we go with some talk about role playing and scripts. And some of you are already like, no, that's not me. I can't do that. But Ned's story is perfect. Because what he did is exactly what all of us need to do, which is a combination of preparedness, knowing your script, but also being very spontaneous and being yourself. Having scripts, doing role-playing doesn't mean you're going to lose your personality. It means that no matter what situation comes up, you're going to have talking points that sound like you, feel like you, and better present you as an awesome agent. And that's all we ever really want to do as your support team, is prepare you to be the best agent you can be. Think of any sport, think of any entertainment, think of anything that you like watching, and the one thing they all have in common is that those people have put in hours and hours and hours of rote practice. Think of it as scripting, think of it as taking 100 cuts a day, 500 free throws, doing the scales over and over, because only when you internalize what you need to be doing, then can you be spontaneous with it. And I know those two things don't sound like they should go together, but it's totally true. You can be better ad-libbing, you can be better improvising if you know your script so well that you don't even have to think about it, and then it can just be pure you. If you're not prepared, you sound like
you choke.
Yeah, you sound like that, and nobody wants to listen to that, right? I just had 5 people interrupt me because they're like, say something, dude, and that's not what you want to sound like. So you know you're going to hit different situations. You're going to hit different situations, and you're going to be prepared for all of these. So I'm not an agent. I don't have a ton of scripts, but as a teacher, that's what we did all the time. We prepared, and then whatever some kid threw at us, hey, you wore those pants yesterday, we were ready for, right? We're ready for those things. So that's the whole key here. What I want to do is show you some places in your IQ office, which again is your personal office filled with awesome file cabinets, where I've just put a bunch of scripts material that you can read on your own, you can access, you can use. I want to show you where those things are, and then we're going to hear from some of you out there that do practice your scripts, how you do it, why you do it, where you do it, when you do it. And then we're going to move into the role-playing piece and talk about how you can get better at all of this stuff by actively role-playing. And Josh, I know that's hilarious, but I just need you to stick with me. No, just kidding. You can laugh all you want as long as you're on mute. Yeah, me, baby. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and just show you where some things are. But as I'm showing you, if you have any script best practice or tips or anything like that, I want you to be sharing that when we are done showing you where things are. Okay? All right, so you should be seeing my blank screen right now. And I'm going to go to IQ Office, my favorite place in the world. And if you think I'm at all facetious when I say things like that, I'm not. I continue, like every week I learn something new about this platform. Every week I go, God dang, this thing is awesome. Doesn't mean it doesn't give me headaches. It just means that there's so much you can do in here. Okay, this is your office. You've got 12 file cabinets in your office, starting here, here, your personal one, and then all of these in the blue bar here. If you use the modern look, they're off to the left. I like the classic look because, as I said last week, I like to put the ass in classic. So where are all of these scripts? Where do these things live? I would say that when you want to find something, you're going to come here to Files, because these are all just files. This is your file cabinet full of all the documents, all the scripts, all the training materials. Everything you would need is in the file cabinet called Files. I want you to stay away maybe from your shared or your home folder, because those are a little bit trickier, but everything that you need is in your documents library. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, we've gone over this a couple times. I apologize to anyone who's like, yeah, I've heard this, but for me, I've been in the business now here 9 months at this company, and I still have to think, okay, where do I go to get this stuff? Because these toolboxes are big. The newest stuff that's been uploaded by the company is right here, and you can see these are all the scripts and stuff that I've uploaded. The most popular things are right here, so there's easy access, figuring that if it's popular, it's probably useful, so you don't even have to go digging for it. It's right here, okay? But where do these scripts live, Mr. Edumercation? I have put them all in the education folder, which is right here. These are all alphabetized by their letter. And come here to education, click on it once to open it. And you've got a bunch of free-floating things in here, which I think I didn't want to put everything in a folder, so you can find stuff about IQ Office. I've got a 15-page visual guide for those of you that are just stuck about IQ Office. Use this, and it's really makes everything a little simpler, I think. Your business plan is in here. If you're new to the company, there's a handbook in here. It's basically just a bunch of photos of me saying hi, maybe not of use. Toolboxes, 21 ways to grow your business. We tried for 22, but that didn't work. But here's the thing right here that I just made for you, for all of us. It's the scripts folder. And guess what's in there, Josh? Yep, you're right, scripts. So open it up. This fan club is not going to open each of these and say, hey, look at all this. Some of these are 85 pages long. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do, and if any of you have any insight about these materials, I want you to chime in, unmute yourself and chime in. But what you need to do is, in some time, take a look at these things and see which ones will work for you, and then really make that one the thing that you go to. But here are the 5 different things that we have in here. An agent script booklet, you can see how big it is. It's 4 megabytes. It's like 70 or 80 pages, I think. Scripts from Sales Edge. Maybe you hate Sales Edge. Okay, don't use this one. These are not in here for you to have to use. These are in here for you to use if you want, okay? Telephone scripts. These are for when you're on the phone. There's, I think, 11 different little scripts for when you're on the phone with a buyer or a seller, a lead or what have you. You can download these and just start working with them. Top 35 objection handlers. This is actually has nothing to do with real estate. This is for when you're in the bar. So you can use these Like, no, I'm actually 5'11". That's one of them. And then,
Is that handwritten from your own personal experience?
sorry, Ashley, I'm just kidding. These are objection handlers that have to do with real estate. You can come back to the fold now. And then the bottom one, and maybe this is the crux, what you say matters. What you say does matter. Every interaction you have with one of your clients, they're processing not just what you're saying, but how you're saying it, what messages you're sending, and whether they are going to make you their agent. Okay, so again, this is another big one. Boy, it almost looks like these might be the same. I'll look at these, and if they're the same, I'll get rid of one because they're the same size. At any rate, go in here, learn some of these, and I'd like to open this up right now to anyone who has any insights about any of these or any scripting work that you do on a regular basis. So does anyone have anything you can share with us? No? Anyone use scripts? Does anyone, what I mean to say, does anyone practice their scripts?
No, and I need to.
Okay, Pam says no, and I need to.
Now I know where it is.
And
You know who does?
who does? Okay, our highest producers, and they're like third or fourth in the market right now, they have been using scripts for the past year pretty religiously, and they would say if they were here, I think they're out scripting right now, but they would say that scripts have made a huge difference in their business.
We were just doing some scripts and role play this morning.
Say that again, please.
Perfect timing. We were just doing some scripts and role play this morning. This is Robert.
Hey, Robert in Steamboat, that's fantastic. Now, the role playing, I want to think of these as two different things, even though you can totally combine them. But scripts, you can be on your own. All of these things that I've just shown you in this folder, you can work those on your own. It's like memorizing your lines for a play. That's another option. You have to know your lines in order for you to be believable. Okay? So scripts are ways for you as an individual single agent to really get good at what you're saying. What is your AVP? Can you talk that 30-second thing without any pauses when someone says, why should I hire you? Do you have your agent value proposition? Do you have it down to a T so you can even say it when it's 10 below on the chair? You need to, and that you only get that way through scripting, through practicing your scripts. Robert, fantastic, you've jumped in, and then I just said get out of the pool, but come back in and tell us about you and scripts.
I think scripts are great. I mean, you pretty much alluded to it, but I think what's important to know is by using a script, you can sound like you're not using a script.
I mean, that's so awesome. Like,
right? Don't be afraid, because by using a script, you'll sound a lot less like you're using a script. And the other thing I like about scripts, especially on the phone or anywhere, is that once you know your script, you can, get off topic and you can go on a tangent with the person on the other end of the phone and get back to where you need to be and finish the call, with the intention you had to start the call with, and you can kind of get back to where you left off when you started talking about kayaking or whatever else.
It's natural.
so you can handle the interruptions, and because you've gone over it so many times, Deb just said it's natural, it becomes just part of how you think and talk. You don't use your scripts as verbatim, I'm going to say exactly what's in here. You get the gist of it, and you make sure that you can convey that every single time. And if they start talking about the Dodgers in the middle of this and the World Series, you can talk about that, and then, but you know where you are in your script, and you can come back to it. Todd has shared a story before, and maybe you've heard it, that when he was running a telemarketing team, or was it telemarketing? No, it was telemarketing. He would have them practice their scripts to the point where they would be role play and script. Then he'd ask a question about the family, and you'd be able to answer it, and then get right back into your script. So this is not unnatural. For those of you, again, that are listening to this and like, I'm not a script person, man. I didn't get into real estate to be fake. You're not being fake. You're getting better at what you did. And Robert said it so well. You practice your script so you don't sound scripted. It's counterintuitive, but it makes perfect sense.
And if I can interject, I think a good thing about scripts is kind of like going back to Ned's conversation and it being, you're not going to move that camera, is that it gives you a place to go. It helps you, it gives you a segue. If you're in a conversation and you're not scripted, it's hard to get to your point. If you've been scripted and you know the direction you want to take the conversation, the script is a roadmap for you. If you know your script, it's going to get you to the questions that you need to ask your clients, potential clients, to get the information you need.
Yeah, and you all know that I'm a big fan of metaphors. I actually like the idea of maps just as well as scripts, because a map, you have it in front of you, you know where you are, and you know where you want to get to, but doesn't mean you can't stop along the way and point out, take a look at that view if that's what the client wants, or take that little side road to get there if that's what the client wants, but you know where you're going, and that's an important thing too. So scripts, maps, however you want to think of it, you just have to know how you're getting there and move the client, no matter what they're talking about, to that point. So Robert, thanks, and I'm going to hit on you again. I'm going to talk to you again about role playing in just a second. But is there anyone else out there that is using scripts or has had success or have really struggled with it? And can we talk about why? Because if one person struggled with it, probably more have, and we want to break through that.
That means everybody hates scripts right there.
It could mean that everybody hates scripts, and so what we're trying to do is get you through that so that you can use them. Josh, I know you're eating something, but I want to ask you a question. Okay, so unmute yourself and finish your Doritos. But you're a new agent.
Doritos.
Sorry.
Yes.
You're a new agent, not just a CBDP, but you're a new agent, correct? Like you're in this business now for 6 or 8 months or something?
4.
Okay. Have you practiced with scripts? Is that something you're thinking about? Is it something you're shying away from? Give us some insights as a new agent, what you're taking from.
I mean, it's not that I'm shying away from scripts. I mean, for me, you know, getting into the business, you know, you have a full-time job, you just don't really have time for such things like that. And I mean, I definitely, you know, now it's off season, you know, I have gotten in touch with Matt, and I know me, Matt, and Zach are going to do it eventually here, probably in the next week or two. I know they do it quite often. So, I mean, like I said, it's not really that I shy away from it. And, you know, I know it's going to be beneficial. It's just a matter of, you know, just having time, you know, with another person, you know, to actually do such things.
Right. And I want to stress again, thanks, Josh, for that. I want to stress again that you can do scripts on your own, just like memorizing your lines on your own. There's a time for role-playing and bouncing things off each other, but there's also time just for individual practice and such. Noel, you're new to the office, but not to the business, so nice to have you, Noel. Everybody, welcome to the company, Noel and Bozeman. Do you have experience with scripts from prior places, or is this kind of new to you? Ashley, unmute and let Noel tell us some things. Maybe I can.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. So for me, I'm not the smartest guy on the planet, and so I typically subscribe to the keep it simple, stupid deal. So one of the things that I was watching was Tom Ferry. He had some really great pointers about just keeping it not a certain script that you're stuck to, but kind of a parameter that you work within. So what I mean by that is, you know, he called it the if clause. If I can X, would you Y? And so the example would be, you know, if I can show you how, you know, CBDP is going to market your property more aggressively than, you know, some other realtor, would you be willing to have a 15-minute meeting? You know, if I can, you know, add some value, would you be willing to do this in return?
Good. So that's another. We're saying sort of the same thing over and over here. Scripts, maps. I'm a basketball coach, and what Noel just said resonates with me, because what you do as a coach on offense is you put in plays. But if you only stick to the play and can't deviate from it, it's not going to work. You use the play until the defense gives you something else, then you go a different direction. And you have to be flexible like that. So the if-then thing is great. And a couple of these things in here in the documents library for scripts are Tom Ferry things. So those of you that have subscribed to his stuff or know Todd's background, this is all going to feel very, very familiar.
Can I add something? I'm also a singer, and
Excellent.
one of the things about singing is you're learning. I mean, I have sometimes hours of music I have to perform. And if you know your stuff and you rehearse and practice and practice and practice, when you go out there, and everybody gets nervous, and I'm the queen of stage fright.
Mhm.
But if I'm practiced, it's a piece of cake and unbelievable. And you don't, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It is.
This is Susan Christensen, who just joined us. Nice to have you, Susan.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
She was at Coldwell Banker Bain out in Seattle, so she's bringing a lot of blue with her. We're psyched to have her. It's great. She can overcome her stage fright, let's say, because she has the confidence in the practice. And so one thing scripts will do is give you confidence to handle any situation and to respond to whatever nerves you might be having or whatever weird curveballs someone might throw at you. So no matter your specialty out there outside of real estate, you know, if you're a snowboarder or a stand-up paddler or whatever, you can apply the same idea to that. You're only going to be good at the thing if you practice, practice, practice. So that's what we're talking about. Probably don't need to belabor that point anymore, but before we move into the role-playing piece, which is going to sound a little bit different, is there anyone else out there that has a major hang-up with this or a totally different approach or a success story about scripts that would make us all feel awesome? Okay, it's totally fine. What I hope to see is you use these, and if you have other scripts, and I know real estate's tough because it's like, I want to keep it to myself, but if you have scripts that you're using that would benefit other people, please email them to me, and I will put them into this folder, because even though you're all competing with all the agents out there and some even in-house, we want all of us to get better. Because if all of your agents in your office are really good, that's only good for the office. It's going to be good for you. So don't be afraid to share that stuff if you have things that you think would be useful in this. And that goes for anything. If you have other stuff about business plans or whatever, I'm happy to put these in so people can access them. Okay, we're going to move on to a little bit of a different topic, which is role playing. And so I want you to think of this metaphorically. The scripting is what you do to prepare for your rehearsals. Okay, you do your scripts at home. You're internalizing those things so that they become real. Then you go to the stage to do your lines with the other person. Okay, you can't do that until you know your scripts. So I do think there's a little bit of a sequence here. Role playing is simply you and someone else, and if you aren't part of a team, it doesn't matter. You've got great agents there, you've got an MD, you've got an OM who's probably too busy to do it, so don't ask her or him, but it's the chance to put your scripts to practice, to use. And over, you've heard me and your MD say, don't practice on your clients. Practice on your colleagues. And so what I really am going to challenge all of you to do, and then we'll break it down what this looks like, is to find one or two people in your office, just like Josh was saying with Matt and Zach. Find one or two people in your office that you look them in the eye and say, let's role play together. I'm going to hold you accountable, you're going to hold me accountable, and we're going to do this once a week, twice a week, regular time. It's going to become clockwork, and you're going to get better at this sort of thing. And the more comfortable you get with each other, the more you can go off topic and really see, are you good with your scripts? So that's the challenge I want to make for all of you, is that in the next week, if you don't already have a role-playing buddy, find one. And it should be someone in the real estate business, I think, so that they can ask the real questions that you're going to get. Don't just rely on your partner or a friend or whatever, because you're going to lose track. You need to make this, like, block out a half hour twice a week to do it. So that's the big picture. That's the challenge. Let's break it down. What does role-playing even look like? I'd like to hear from someone instead of me telling you what is it. Is Jeff, is that you? Hi, Jeff. Nice to see you. Anyone doing role-playing right now actively on a regular basis? And this is real estate role-playing, sorry. Don't be confused. Robert, this would be fine for you to jump back in if you'd like.
Does anyone in your office?
I'm being shopped around right now, so, and no takers. Everybody's like, no. Robert, you still there? Can you tell us what your role-playing looks like in real estate?
Yeah. I hadn't been doing it there for a while, but I just got back into it with the buyer's agent that just started with us. And we were doing this morning his initial call to his sphere, role-playing that.
Okay, and so, like, it doesn't sound like a lot of people are doing it. So what does that even look like? If you want to, you're not going to role play for us with Taylor, but what does this 15 or 20 minutes look like for the two of you?
It's the script that has been practiced and, you know, hopefully internalized. And I am, you know, this morning he was the caller, I was the sphere, and I was trying to throw him off and, you know, kind of be different people and respond to his different parts of his script differently, you know, to help him learn it well and know how to overcome objections and that sort of thing. It's definitely not the same thing over and over and over. I don't think that's very beneficial. You got to be a good partner and, you know, challenge the person that's making the call.
You don't want to be a softball. You want to be like, the idea of role playing is to be harder than the client is going to be, because like if you can handle all that stuff in the practice, you're going to be golden when it comes time to really do it. So go harder at it. Be more, and this is once you get comfortable with your role playing partner, of course, but be more digressive and more objectionable and quieter, whatever. Really push each other to get into situations that you're going to encounter. And then when you do encounter those, it's not going to be like, oh, what should I do? Person won't talk very much. So that's awesome, Robert. And tell me this, you're the experienced agent and you've got a relatively new person that's your buyer's agent. Do you stop in the middle of it and say, okay, maybe you should have done this? Or do you just like run it and then recap at the end? What have you found works for you in terms of team while you're role playing?
Fuck off.
Yeah, I think if it's something that they've practiced and are happy with, then definitely.
I'm on that diet.
I can't wait till I'm on that diet.
You better open up a
Helping them write it, you know, and it's early stages, you know, maybe stop them along the way. But if you're actually role playing and the script is done, then yeah, definitely don't stop them in the middle.
Okay, that's great. And we had mentioned Stephanie and Kelly, who are in the top 5 in Sun Valley. Not only are they scripting, but they block out twice a week role playing, and they have an office right in the front of the office with glass, and everybody sees them sort of going at each other, and you know their fingers are up and their arms are crossed, and so it's not just the words, it's the behaviors, it's the tone. You have to be able to handle those things. And what I'm really excited about is next week we're going to be talking about neuro-linguistic programming, which is all about your tone and the messages you convey through the way you're holding yourself when you're doing these. So we're going to dovetail into that, speaking of communication. Kathy said to me several times not to forget something, and I can't remember what it was this morning. No, I'm just kidding. She talked a lot about having that accountability. So Robert and Taylor are accountable to each other, and that always raises your performance. If you don't have a coach or if you don't have someone that's holding your feet to any fire, you can put the time in, but it doesn't have to be all that important, or you don't have to go at it hard, and you're not going to get better. One of the beauties of doing the role play is that you hold each other accountable and that you will make each other better through that accountability. So I'm going to reiterate my challenge, which is to find a role-playing partner. And what I would love to hear from OMs and MDs, and I'm not going to task you with any more work, but if you know a group that has started a duo or a trio, and you can do this with 3 people just so that there's some flexibility, let me know who those folks are and what they're doing. I'd love to be a part of it and sit in on some of their sessions digitally or whatever. But boy, it would be awesome if we got a bunch of people just saying, we're going to commit to this. And you do have to commit. You can't do it for a week and say, oh, I'm good. Stephanie and Kelly have been going at it now for about 4 or 5 months, and it shows. And I know that Robert just closed on a nearly $1 million project, not because of the role playing, but all of this stuff is going to make you a better agent, and that's the whole point. What else?
If I can interject, I can tell you from a Stephanie and Kelly perspective that they actually role play their listing presentations before they go on their listing presentations. And Kelly is the greener of the 2 agents. I've been really fortunate to kind of have her come in and been able to work with her and watch her grow through the process. And she has been great. And she actually talks about how effective that role playing was in this particular listing presentation. And they actually won the listing presentation because they had talked through what could come up and what was going to happen, and they had role played how they would handle it. She said it was the most streamlined listing presentation, and she felt so professional. And she works with Stephanie, who is so professional and is so dialed in that it elevated even Kelly's confidence to be doing the role playing first.
What are we eating in Bozeman? That was really nice looking. Big orange and yellow thing. Yum. I'm hungry. Actually, when you role play as a client, that's super important too, because you get more insights into what clients are looking for. And so what Kathy's talking about, even when you're not playing the role of the agent, I think it's going to help you deal with the mindset of a client. As you all know, real estate agents are some of the least trusted people when they do those studies. And we're trying to work through that. And the scripting, again, doesn't make you fake and less trustworthy. I think it makes you more trustworthy, because when you sound like you know what you're talking about and you do know what you're talking about, that's what clients want. And we know that we have the agents in our various offices that are you're all part of our office because of a cultural piece too, not just because you want to be on the Coldwell Banker banner, but we have a mission statement. We have a culture. So I know that you guys can all speak authentically, even if you've done the scripting 100 times and the role playing 100 times. Okay, what else can we talk about with role playing? There's a couple things I want to show you that aren't really related, but I wanted to show these things to you. So if we're done, we can move on. But is there anything else out there from anyone about role playing or scripting?
I'll just throw something in. This is Jennifer in Sun Valley. Something that I see helps people get more comfortable, because role playing is very awkward when you first do it and you're sitting down with somebody, it's really weird. But it helps people to actually sit and they'll read. I mean, take the piece of paper and they'll just read the script back and forth to each other, and they'll discuss it. What do you think about this? That sounded kind of stupid. I wouldn't say it like this. I would do it this way instead. Just have a conversation about it. Then they actually get into okay, now let's actually do a real role play, have a conversation. But it seems like that reading and discussion helps kind of warm everything up when you first get going.
Learn what works for you.
Yeah.
What feels natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It takes some of the edge off, because you're not jumping right in the role play and have to have the script memorized and have to act the part. So warm yourself up to it, especially in your first few sessions. So that's great. Thanks. What other insights do we have about this before I show you a couple of other little tricks in IQO? That's much better. I didn't want to see Jeff anyway. Thanks, Ashley. Okay. All right. Great. Please take a look at these things. I'll make sure that these aren't duplicates, but if you're going to spend 5 minutes a week doing this, don't bother. You need to commit to your scripts. You need to commit to your role playing. Keith Everett, who is the MD in Grand Junction and Montrose, and as you know, that the growth in the Grand Junction office over the last 2 or 3 years went from 30 to 90 agents or something like that. Why is that? It's not because Keith won arm wrestling contests. It's because he scripts religiously. He knows the objection handlers religiously. Anything that comes up, he can counter it. Not in a belligerent way, except with me, but that's the power of scripts. And look at the job he's done in Grand Junction and in Montrose. So I don't know if he's on the call, but he would definitely attest to this. And I think Todd might think scripts and role playing is important. I'm not sure. Okay. All right. Great. Here's a couple things that I've put into IQO. One thing that I put into IQO that you can use. You can send it to clients because it's kind of cool, but it's part of maybe your scripts, part of what you need to internalize about the company. A lot of you have seen this before. It's in CB Exchange. It's called the quotables. And every year, Coldwell Banker puts together a really nice, graphically pleasing display of things that are important about the company from the last calendar year, stats and stuff. So I'm going to back out of education, and I'm going to go to the documents library. In the documents library, you've got all this stuff. I put this quotable thing in marketing materials because I just think that's probably where it fits. Hi, Rosie. And it's simply called quotables down here on its own. It's not. It doesn't apply to any specific office. It's in marketing materials. And I just want to show it to you really quickly. I've already got it booted up here somewhere. It's a nice piece. You can send it along, but I think the reason it's called quotables is because we want you, the agents, quoting some of this stuff. If you're going up against England Volkers for a listing appointment, you can talk about that. We have a network of 90,000 agents, Engel Volkers, this isn't in here, has 2,400 worldwide. Okay. But go through here and you've got some stuff. This is really big size. It's just a normal size document. Look at all the countries we're in. If you know numbers, like we are represented in 49 countries, basically you can access agents in all over the world, 49 countries, 90,000 agents, 3,000 offices. That's kind of cool. Here's some numbers. Okay, number of transaction sides. We did 727,000 sides of transactions worldwide last year. People love numbers, by the way. Ned's working on a farming campaign that started out with just a nice photo of his beard, but the next one is, and that was front and back because it's sizable. But his next one is a chart about median sales prices. People love stats. They love numbers. It's what sticks in people's minds. Average U.S. sales price.
Can I just stop you right there for 2
Yes,
seconds?
Kathy's going to stop me here for a
I
minute.
think the other thing that numbers do for you is they make you the expert.
I was just gonna say that.
It's
really
going to set
smart.
you apart from somebody else who doesn't know the numbers. Numbers are going to make you look, and you do know what's going on.
Numbers, like, it's a facts-driven world. It really is. So when you know these numbers to some degree, and you don't have to know them down to the decimal point, but look at this. This is all Coldwell Banker stuff, by the way. We did almost 25,000 transaction sides of over 1 million last year worldwide. That's more than any company out there. So again, when you're going up against the Sotheby's or the Slifer and Engel and Volkers and Berkshire and Hathaways, you say this, and this can quiet any of the conversation about, well, this isn't a luxury brand. Yes, it is. We do more luxury business than any company out there. Okay? 25,000 sides last year. Now, granted, 18,000 of them were done by Christopher Chu and the Jills, but the point is, we're doing them. We have over 88,000 agents. You know, here's some things. This is all fun. Smart home stuff. A lot of you are doing that. I hope so. CBX listening. So, okay, I just want to show you this. This is in here, and you can use it both for yourself as well as if a client is on the fence about you or someone else, send them this. You know?
That's a big, that stat right there is a good stat.
This stat right here is a good stat, I'm told. It says #1 most influential real estate brand in social media, according to Klout. And that comes from things like our dog commercial, which rates higher than any commercial ever. So here's some good stuff. And I apologize if it feels like I'm just pulling this out of a stocking and giving it to you now. This stuff lives in CB Exchange. Every year they do this. I'll make sure that you get one early in the year next year. But now it's in IQO, resting and waiting for you. YOY means you're only young. No, it means year over year. Okay? And then some stuff about our luxury brand, the global luxury. A lot of good stuff. And I think it's tastefully done. It looks nice. Coldwell Banker Heroes, that's our Distinctive Angels program, for us anyway. Okay? All right, so there's that. And then the last thing I want to do is go over the schedule. I know, Josh, it's getting super boring. I'm almost done. The last thing I want to do, remember, when you're on video with your clients, they can see everything. When you pick your nose or scratch your head like that, Noel or Jan, Josh or Chuck just are frozen in time, they can see all that. So keep that in mind if you're using Zoom. Here's the schedule for the rest of the month for Fan Club so that you can plan ahead. It's all about communication this month. Today we're doing scripts and role playing. Next week we're going to do neuro-linguistic communication. That's right, neuro-linguistic communication. You may remember Christy Reese spoke about this in her mastermind a couple months ago about how nodding your head when you are asking someone to do something is encouraging them to do something, to agree with you. It's fascinating. I didn't know that. We're going to learn about that next week. Yeah, try it with your kids. On the 20th, there will be no fan club because we are coming home from Gen Blue on that day, and it just seems like we've got a bunch of people out of the office, and so we don't need to manufacture fan clubs if it's not going to work. But then the following one, the end of the month, we will be doing a recap of what all the good stuff we got out of Gen Blue. So even if you didn't make it to the conference, you'll benefit from our participation. So that's the schedule. I sent this in the invite yesterday, and I don't know where to put this. I don't want to put every single thing I ever type into IQ Office, unless, Jennifer, you want me to. But here's the schedule, okay? So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, I think, because I like to see the Hollywood squares here. Any thoughts about anything we've gone over today? We don't need to drag this out any longer. It's already 11:45, but I hope you got something out of it. And if you have some insights or some questions, let's clarify now. Anything? Okay. Excellent. And I just hope you keep up the great work. I love looking at the closings and seeing all the work you're doing in all of our markets. It's awesome. So keep it up, and let me know if you have any things from a tech standpoint, from an education standpoint, that either you want in a fan club or you need one-on-one help with or office help with. And let's hear it for Ashley's elbow. So you have to. Great. All right. Happy birthday to Karen tomorrow. Yay. Yay. And we will see everybody next Friday. Keep up the great work. It's always a pleasure. Bye-bye.
So